Hi. How we all doing? Ugh. Hat on. Nobody wants to see my bald head. Hi. Oh. I'm thinking I'm feeling a little bit calmer than yesterday, thanks to the lovely jump scare of the lovely little girl being so ever so creepy. We were literally just about to dive into Marianne's story, if I remember rightly. This should be the transition over. Marianne's story. So we get to find out about this interior designer who's been with the Wrights. And as you can see already, the relationship with Isabella's quite high. It's quite good with Hannah. Not much of an opinion on Zach. But 7:15 p.m. The numbers are so little on the top of my screen and they glare at me with such intensity that I can just hear their accusations. I'm late for a night out with the girls, yes, but I have a perfectly good excuse. Jeez, considering I didn't follow typical office hours, they can't really expect me to be able to just go as I please at 5:30 on the dot. That's one hell of a start time for a drinking session. Client is first and foremost my priority. I have to sit tight when my personal assistant Chris tells me we're gonna have a big one come up and that I shouldn't miss this one. He knows a lot more about the who's who and the what's what when it comes to these socialites, and I trust that judgment call. Really don't have time for rich people, the dramas and the politics. These sort who were born with the silver spoons in their mouth and who were used to wagging their silver tongues about. I let him handle the negotiating with them for the most part. Why else would I have hired him? But he told me I'd received a message about an hour ago.
Now, if only he has the full shilling when it comes to the time.
Come on, I have a social life too, you know, to an extent. Sort of. Pressing my head against the table, I tried to stave off an oncoming headache when the notification for a new email pops up. All I'm expecting is a, hey, this looks like a good project I found, go send them a design. Or something like that, really. That's how it often goes. Even with these rich, jammy clients who's heard of me from their equally rich, jammy friends, I can't expect them to hire me right off the bat. Which is all well and good and reasonable. And figure out what they want, send them my portfolio, make drafts for the projects, my rates, and hope for the best. This is a big client, Marianne. I'll babysit Baruthiel for you. So this is a big client, blah blah blah. Please just take this one project. I promise this person is huge in Luxbourne. Oh. Says it just there. Mr. Parker, this is a formal request to secure services of Marianne McCullough hereinafter called The Designer. As authorized by Hannah Wright, hereinafter called The Client, for interior design work at the Ermagerd Mansion in the United Kingdom. That's where I'm from. The client hopes to have the designer there on the 21st of October, Friday, with the time pending. As I open the mail and I see that I've been requested by the client specifically, well, I certainly didn't expect that, and it's pretty straightforward too. Anyone else would have been probably excited. They would have been working with the Hannah Wright. She's just one of those rich socialites that everybody loves to talk about, no matter how hard I try to tune out such nonsense. Ugh. It would have been enough for me to just reply in affirmative to Chris and leave, but he has never pleaded for me to take a project before. We've worked with these big personalities in the past, celebrities, bankers, and even a few politicians. My PA has been indifferent about those. The question bouncing around my skull before I spy one of the email attachments. Newspaper clipping from the Luxbourne's daily business news section boasting the headline, Wright Enterprises donates 2.5 million to refuge. Certainly causes quite a stir back then. Apparently they had invited businessmen and socialites everywhere in the guise of it being some big business announcement.
2.5 mil and an expensive looking party to boot. These people sure know how to throw their money around.
Yeah, no shit. No, I should be so callous. They're going to do a lot of good and help the community of people with all those pounds. I, of all people, shouldn't criticise such acts whether therefore show or not. Am I speaking today? just not happening. At the very least, I know they'll be able to pay my rates. With the headline out of the way, however, I find myself staring at the picture that came along with the clipping. You're looking at Hannah, because, wow. Here I am expecting a sour old woman in a blazer and skirt. The woman that was plastered on the front page looks like she belongs on the front page of an entertainment section, or even, if I'm to be crass, as the pin-up for a Glamour. Okay, I'll be real here. A men's magazine. She sure knows how to rock that dress. Wait. Her hair, her eyes, her lips. She can't be her. At the same time, she is her, only several years older. She looks just like... No, come on, Mac. She calls herself Mac. The world is full of pretty blondes. Just a coincidence. With a shake of my head, I snap out of it and reach my phone when it buzzes, nearly falling off my chair in the process. Who else would be on the other line but the very people waiting for me?
Piss. I'm so sorry, Cam. I'm on my way.
And that's what I say. Yeah, I still don't move from my chair, face flushed and heart racing. I can only stare until I can will myself to reply that yes, I'm accepting the assignment. And it takes even more time for me to just close the image, shut down the computer and leave. Even then, it's already burned an image into my mind. No matter how much I wish it would just disappear. It makes me eager for the alcohol and the company. It makes me eager for anything that can help me forget. So, I'm having a wild guess that something happened within her past with potentially, with the way that she's been talking about her, potentially a girlfriend. And things didn't quite go right, and now she's being reminded of this shit. The good thing that the nearest pub is just a hop, skip, and a jump from here. Yeah, no worries. The Galloway Shawl, as it's called by those who frequent the place, is the only decent Irish pub in this country. I'm pretty much told that someone is new if they call it by its official name, the Crawl Bar. My home away from home ever since I moved to Luxbourne. Well, that is when I'm not cooped up in my condo and working away. There's good alcohol, good company, and thank God and Saint Cecilia, good music. Our favourites like the Bothy Noise, the High Wesleyan Men, and the Second Fusion Orchestra are often played, not to mention the singing. I love singing. Anyone could just break out into a drinking song. Yeah, that's one thing in the Irish culture. They'll happily be drinking away at a pub, and then they'll go into a thing which is called an Irish rambling song, which is literally like someone rambling at you with a slight bit of notation within their voice. Usually to take the piss out of the British. And doing so while intoxicated is the best ways to go about it. Hey, it's a win-win as long as I don't puke in the middle of the chorus and as long as I can get home in one piece at the end of the day. And tonight is karaoke night. What a better time than to try and sing all my worries away. That's what my intoxicated brain tells me.
The ghost of guilt and sorrow remembers who I am, and in the prison of my heart, I was my only slave.
But drinking only reminds me of my home, and the thought of home makes me think of her.
But in the depths of my cold soul, I'll leave the burden and despair.
Props to this voice actor. That is one hell of a voice. It makes me nauseous. It sickens me that the smallest reminder of her can cause me such grief.
I'll fight for what's worth fighting for. Forget the fear, forget the rest.
Oh, so that might just be the booze. Any other day I would have scolded myself for drinking so much.
I lied to the Lord, I lied to myself, I lied to you and everyone I care, until there were no more lies to tell.
But I already have a client, and we'll be having our first little meet and greet in a few days.
Cowardice is easier than being brave, but at last I found the strength I lost to sing my love letter to you.
You know what's really off-putting? The singing for this clearly does not match the music in the background.
'Cause people can lie, but my lone heart beats true.
I want to at least enjoy this night, get over the hangover tomorrow, and return to being prim and proper professional after.
That song was for Cam, our lucky bride-to-be. So give her a hand, Galway shawl.
That was a song for someone who's getting married. Hold up. Backlog.
The ghost of guilt and sorrow remembers who I am, and in the
This is for a
prison
fucking
of my
person getting married.
heart, I was my only slave. But in the depths of my cold soul, I'll leave the burden and despair. I'll fight for what's worth fighting for. Forget the fear, forget the rest.
This line especially right here.
I lied to the Lord, I lied to myself, I lied to you and everyone I care, until there were no more lies to tell.
Just one sec. But yeah, that one line. Oh, give it up for the bride-to-be. I lied to the Lord, I lied to myself, I lied to you and everyone I care, until the end, until there were no more lies to tell. That is not something you want to hear before you get married from presumably one of your best friends. Considering the state I'm in, one can excuse my smug grin as cheers and applause rise among the pub's patrons. Because, possibly off-key public singing aside, that was actually fantastic. I feel like I'm on top of the world right now, and there's a good reason, and that's as good a reason as any to belt out in front of these strangers. With good drinks and good friends, there's nowhere else I'd rather be tonight. And I forget for a short while.
And that song was brought to you by Marianne McCullough, everyone! A round of applause!
That was so good. You rock, Marianne. Oh, please stop. You're just saying that.
You know neither of us can hold a tune, Marianne. A toast to our shameless drunk singer. May your drinks forever flow and your notes be ever lovely.
If anyone deserves a toast tonight, that's Cam. Finally sealed the deal after 3 years, eh? Read 'em and weep, bitches.
Oh, there we go. Kamala's diamond engagement ring gleams as she holds it up for the world to see. She has reasons to be proud. 3 years of living together, and her boyfriend finally asked her the big question. And obviously she said yes.
Don't get too attached to that ring or the one after, sweetie. I was wearing a wedding ring not so long ago, and look at where I am.
Again, we're doing this as someone who's just getting engaged, and we've just said don't get too... Well, we didn't say, but another character said don't get too attached. I was wearing a wedding ring not long ago, and look where I am. Yes, I'm in a pub, drinking with 2 other women, with a cigarette in my hand, listening to people sing karaoke. Oh, what a shit life.
But enough of me being a downer. Cheers to a happy engagement!
Of course, something like Haruna's divorce were to happen, I'll be there for Cam. Just as Cam has been there for me, acting more than just my yoga instructor. I can't be happier for my friend right now.
Cheers!
The new Death Stranding trailer. Is there another... Right. Is this the one which showed at the Video Game Awards, or is there another one? Because I'm far too excited about that game.
Cheers!
Well, we both will be there for Cam, won't we? Haruna and I. Been a real bad year for her since her divorce. She's such a nice person, and even loaning me money to open a studio. She didn't deserve what her husband had pulled. I'm happy she's smiling again and pigging out like she used to. I think we've all missed our Japanese firecracker. Met in yoga class, something I joined on to keep myself in shape, and well, honestly, so that I could make friends when I had moved to Luxbourne. Clearly, it worked like a charm. And it definitely didn't have anything to do with the fact that I brought along my lucky D20 dice with me on the first day. No, sir. She plays Dungeons and Dragons too. I love these girls so much.
What about you, Marianne? You're 30 years old and you still haven't got yourself a man. And you guys know I have a very busy schedule. I don't have time for that.
One thing, what you need to have a look for with all those game trailers for Death Stranding, all 3 of them are linked in certain ways. And that was actually confirmed by Kojima, that they are linked. So, dig deep.
Oh, come on! That's a lame excuse and you know it! You need a man who'll take care of you and you need it now! Maybe some hunk will be your house hubby while you rake in the dough.
I'm quite capable of taking care of myself. Who needs a Mr. Right?
Side tangent. Who needs a Mr. Right? There's a guy in this game called Luke Wright. What's the betting he's gonna turn up?
Hey, look at me. I'm Marion McCullough, a lawful neutral cleric with 9 points in wisdom and 8 in charisma, but I can't get myself a date.
He plays D&D. I mentioned druids and demons once. Oh, druids and demons, because they don't have the official license to say Dungeons and Dragons. Once, they don't even know the rules or understand what that number means, and I certainly am not some sort of holy person. I'm a far cry from a miracle worker, and I barely have the willpower to fight off demons, especially my own.
Actually, maybe she isn't looking for a Mr. Right, but a Mrs. Right.
Because she's a
But
lesbian.
Marianne, we still love you even if you're in the closet.
That would explain some things.
Yeah, there's tangents, but there's ties between every single trailer that's been released so far.
How do you know you don't have a ring anymore? Maybe you two can be together and I don't have to worry about my best girls being alone. What are you on about? There's nothing to explain.
But the more I deny, the louder they tease until the people in the pub start to watch. Doesn't help at all when Haruna drapes her arm over my shoulder and leans in.
Will I be all yours then? Will you be making me feel like a woman?
Maybe. I know that they're just kidding around, but this doesn't make me comfortable in the slightest. So when Kamala notices my silence and Haruna sees the expression on my face, they stop. Aw, the face is changed. And when the awkward settles over us, the rest of the pub goes back to whatever they were doing before the whole thing happened. They probably won't even remember it when they wake up with massive hangovers anyway.
Sorry.
Me too.
Hey, no hard feelings, right?
I raise my glass. They smile. We drink. There's no need to say more. We're all definitely far too drunk tonight. Eventually the fun times end. It's a weekday after all. And with Haruna being a nurse, she still has to get ready for her next shift. She was drinking just before her next shift. Good quality nursing. Cam also has a loving fiance waiting for her at home and really didn't have to make a fuss about having left some buns in the oven while she took off early. Really, I understand. I was the one who insisted, who was determined to get pissed drunk anyway. Moving to the bar, I sit. Alone at last. Alone with a stranger, Mr. Wright, Luke Wright. I haven't seen him here before, obviously not a regular. He hasn't said a word and just sits there savouring his drink. With his whiskey served neat in one hand and a lighter in the other, it doesn't seem like he's noticed me yet, and maybe I should just go before he does look my way. Because he was pretty and he was blonde, and those 2 things plus alcohol never did me any good. Thought too late. Judging by the way his flushed face and the dazed look in his eyes, he's as piss drunk as I am. But whereas I feel like keeling over, he looks like he's ready to take the catwalk by storm. Really, he just has the air of one of those men who think they own the world.
Hello there, sexy. Please don't stand up on my account. I already like what I see.
This guy's married.
Fancy a drink? It'll be on me.
And then again, I might be pleasantly surprised if he proves me wrong.
Want some between the sheets? Sex on the beach? I'm talking cocktails, of course.
That chance. Well, it doesn't matter, we both know how to play this game. And there are 2 different ways for the night to end. One thing or another is going to happen. The question is, what do I want to do?
Oh no, that's fine. I'd rather order some blue balls or some AMF if you don't mind.
AMF? AMF? He looks like he's about to say some witty retort, but stops himself and downs the rest of his whiskey. I order a mint julep. He gets into the whiskey and we start the customary small talk. Of course, hold. When does this take place? This is before This is before Marianne has actually gone to the right mansion to find out that Luke and Hannah Wright are her clients. This could get interesting. Very interesting. And then, yeah, there's that. And now we get Marianne's. So she's 30 years old, 5'11", quite tall, Irish, Roman Catholic, Bachelor of Arts in Architecture. Likes chocolate, cats, classical arts, country music, karaoke, board games, video games, anime, and other obscure pop culture items. Yoga. Left in a dumpster as a baby, she was found by a peddler and spent most of her childhood roaming around the countryside in a beat-up van. Who the fuck leaves a baby in a dumpster? Father taught her how to read, write, and pray. Though an unconventional life, it was all she knew. Child welfare and protection eventually caught on and required that she have proper education. She was provided a scholarship at St. Samson School for young ladies and was bullied for being a charity kid. Marianne only has one friend and was mostly focused on her studies, intent on graduating and returning to her father. A shame that he was diagnosed with Alzheimer's soon after. Shit, man. Her work as an architect in Ireland lasted until the Irish economy crisis. She then moved to England and after some time Luxembourg in search for a better career opportunities. She was left in a fucking dumpster as a baby. Jesus fucking Christ. We asked nothing about each other, offering up falsehoods to establish a strenuous fake connection between 2 strangers at the pub, if only to pass the time. Whiskey, as I've come to call him, is supposedly 21 years old, single, takes care of his sick mother, and a manager of some sort. No, he's a fucking dickhead who's married to someone else who's actually the owner of the place, well, soon to be owner of the place where you're going to be fucking renovating, Marianne. Just run away. Manager of what? I didn't care to listen to the details. Meanwhile, Mint, as he's come to call me, is 29 and I'm... What did I say I was again? Oh yeah, I told him that was a professional chocolate taster, because fuck it, if you're gonna lie about your job, might as well make it fun. They're pretty decent chat between the 2 pretty drunk strangers. And maybe it's just me, but we might as fucking well expend the tiniest amount of effort in pretending that there's something meaningful in this meeting. Would have been nice too if it had just been left at that. But during a lull in the conversation, he brings it up.
You know, I've never been with a woman taller than me.
And to think he might have been different from the
Never
rest.
have and never will. Whiskey. Can we go back to the history of chocolates? Did you know that chocolate candy was introduced in 19th century England as a healthier alternative to alcohol?
St. Lucy was the most beautiful woman of her time. She had men come from the 4 corners of the world just to see the pure light of her exquisite green eyes. She was so lucky anyway.
No, enough of the history lesson.
That sounded a little out of context.
Come on, Mint. You know and I know what you came here for.
Yes, a drink. No, not every suitor was gallant, and she was no fool. She had known that sooner or later she wouldn't be able to defend her chastity.
Come on. There must be something that gets you going.
It's the fact that he's trying to put on like a fake Irish accent. So we don't say 19. It's 19. And mind, not mind. But then again, they're in an Irish pub. Gouge your own eyes
there
out.
is something. but I don't think you can handle it.
Oh my. Impressed with her devotion, God restored her eyes and made them more beautiful than before. These little bits in between are really out of context. He has a particular sense of humour, hasn't he? Because that only meant suitors kept going after Lucy, and she kept her eyes in a chalice to scare them away.
Oh, I'm pretty sure I can handle whatever it is.
Saint Lucy, help me. Help me turn away from sin. Help me with my own blindness.
My place isn't too far from here. I won't take care of you if it ends up being too much for you. And no one will be able to hear you if you try to scream. You sure you want to go down that road, pretty boy?
Yes.
Wouldn't have it any other way. ...
Best thing about having my condo so close to the pub is the ease of access. As long as I can still stand and walk, I can make it home. Maybe I'd need help from a kind neighbour or two to help me with the last leg if I've really gone overboard with the alcohol. But I always made it home. Sometimes with company. Of course, that always comes with complications, especially the real clingy ones. But it isn't anything a good tip about stalkers to the building security can't fix. I'm always nervous though, even if this isn't the first time I've done this. And with the first few minutes when we enter my room, at the first few agonizing minutes where I try not to panic, K-Mac, so far so good. Don't let him smell your fear under that liquid courage. He'll leave sooner or later, and I'll never have to see him again, just like every man before him. I'd like to say to myself that the men I've brought to my place were more scared than I was. Yeah, there is no fear when I look into Whiskey's eyes, only delight. Ugh, he's a creep. When he starts touching me, I don't even hesitate when I push him against the door. Roughness is to be expected. And as long as he sticks to the script, everything will go smoothly. We have our little tumble in the sheets, he'll leave, we'll forget all about it. ... If somebody asked what I really wanted, I would have told them I wanted a bed of roses, chocolates and music, maybe an Irish castle. But all I really want is her, and that's never going to be a reality. It was my fault, of course, but I was afraid. I was a coward. It would never hold up a candle to her. She was the light of my life, and I had to let her go. Can't be bothered with the thought of her. Just a single thought of her makes my resolve to see this affair through waver.
Wait.
What is it now?
Yes, what is it now? Was it gonna be, Marianne, to sex or not to sex? The B-side of a Shakespeare play. This could be quite a conundrum, because I would base my option on what I'd pick because of stuff what I already know of the story, so that I know that Luke and Hannah Wright are together, so therefore this is wrong because I know you're married, I know you're not a single guy who's living with his sick mother, yada yada. But do I play it with the mind of I shouldn't know anything and just go, fuck it, let's do it? I'm kind of curious to see what she has planned, so to speak. But at the same time, I shouldn't really let her sleep with this fucking creep of a man. And if she herself is having second thoughts about this, is wrong.
We're both drunk.
did it go up? How did that go up? I just denied the guy. Okay.
And
This is wrong. Don't you think it's a bit fucked up that we're about to have sex and we're just calling each other by the drinks that we had? How messed up are we?
Doll, shut up with the ethics and morality talk. It is seriously putting me out of the mood.
That's the point.
If you want to leave now, Whiskey, I understand. I mean, with how smashed you are, it'd probably be best for you to sleep the night unless you want to be mugged.
Ah, let him get mugged. He's a fucking
But
dick.
I won't stop you. And this isn't going to happen.
Good girl.
Hell.
Achievement unlocked. Cock blocked. Yeah. Of course, he's annoyed at me for putting off our night's sexual congress. But no means no. And beyond spewing a few profanities under his breath, he surprisingly simmers down soon enough. I was worried for a moment that I might have to try and force something. Instead, he makes a show of fixing his suit and smoothing down his hair before making himself comfortable on the nearest seat he could find.
What are you doing then? You have a guest in your home. Put the damn kettle on. Dandelion tea if you have it. But I suppose all you have are those shitty tea bags from the store.
See, we deny him and the true face of Luke Wright comes out. A fucking arsehole. If it isn't for the absurdity of this turn of events, I would have flipped him off for thinking I have no taste. But in the end, I just laugh. Well, I got our cans of Korean ginseng and lemon balm though, no dandelion. Without a second thought, I do wet the tea. It's 3 minutes to get the kettle to boil, 3 minutes where we say nothing to each other. I mean, what do you even say to a guy I was about to sleep with until I changed my mind? I doubt he's in the mood for a talk about the influences of Troy's on Mallory. Still unusual by the time we're both seated on my bed, mugs of tea in hand.
Just so you know, whatever is going on right now is a lot stranger and fucked up than the one night stand.
We are two messed up individuals by your logic.
Everything is messed up, if you ask me. War, terrorism, famine, poverty,
Terrorism?
loved ones and loved lost. Oh,
Terrorism?
this whole world is a cesspool.
Cesspool. His voice actor is fucking ridiculous sometimes. It's great. Oh my god, it is great. The dead air is telling when it fills the room once more. One would think that this is the perfect time to bust, to spill about whatever issues that made us the fucked up person that we are today. And it is. But I guess some part of me would rather not put the weight of my problems on someone else's shoulder. It wouldn't be fair to leave that to a person when I don't even know if we'll ever see each other again. Oh, trust me, Marianne, you will. Sooner rather than later, we both pass out on my bed, mugs left forgotten on the floor. He spends the night. That's just fucking weird. When I wake, whiskey is already gone. Bottle of painkillers and a note on the table are the only evidence that I wasn't alone last night. Thanks, Foz, the tea, Mazian. They're not ours. They're Zed's. Whiskey. I don't even question where these are from or just how he knew my real name. How did he know your real name? I'm just grateful for something that'll help with the hangover. Might as well. I have a job to do. It isn't often that I think about drinking on the job, but after a meeting with the Wrights yesterday really makes me want to break my self-imposed rules. So has this skipped over her meeting the Wrights? So there's this here. And then the help me. Yeah, so the open house was the 21st. We've now skipped to the 22nd. Because first off, fucking damn Whiskey and his fucking damn Mr. Wright. And to top it all off, they had somehow forgotten to inform me that they didn't even own the Ermengarde mansion yet. Ermengarde. What sort of person does that?
Rich people.
I do nothing but twiddle my thumbs at this. However, twiddle my thumbs and wait for the go signal. Not like I can accept other smaller projects This is going to be a big job and I should be ready to start on it at any time. Not to mention that my PA practically begged me to be patient and wait this out. It was a hard decision to agree, but I did so in the end. Besides, I'm doing this for the Ermengarde mansion. Ermengarde. That'll never get old. Not for anything or anyone else. I'd have a headache whatever I do anyway. I'd go to the pub again, but seeing as what happened a few days ago, I'd rather not end up in bed with another potential client. And it might be a huge leap in logic, but a library is the next best thing after the pub. That is quite a leap in logic. I have to go there anyway. I need more books for Dad, plus I also need to return the ones I borrowed last time. Finding a new book or two to read to myself while I have nothing better to do isn't such a bad idea either. So on a Saturday morning, I find myself going to the only library in Luxbourne, hopefully to hopefully cool off. After returning something and a poetry book by Henry of Podebrady. Cool. I asked the librarian about several titles on my list, though I don't have much luck on that front. Dialogue with Death has already been snatched, and she bluntly said that she does not keep our mathematical universe for someone who didn't return books on time. I make headway at least when I ask about the siege and rendition of Havana by Jacobo de Pezuela. You count her snarling and pointing at the history section as headway, that is. The history section is devoid of any other except for myself and a redhead, though I'd wager a guess that Red's just passing by to get to the classical literature section. So many books, so little time. Scanning the books and seeing so many wonderful titles gives me great pleasure. And that's when I spot it.
Hello, sailor. Why don't you come to Mama?
You say that out loud in a library. Not the naval battle book I was looking for. No, it's even better. History of Luxbourne Architecture. That's actually pretty good. The newly acquired History of Luxbourne Architecture. First edition too. I know, I just have to get it. I've been waiting to get my hands on the book for so long. The fact that there is only one copy proves to be a problem though when Red reaches out for the same book as I do.
I think I had this first, miss.
It's Rebecca! I can only stare her down as she refuses to let go of the book. Refusing to let go of it as well, I raise a brow at her in the hopes that the fact that I was significantly taller than her would be intimidating to the girl. Even then, she refused with a rebellious look.
This isn't exactly light reading, miss. I mean, do you even know which architect was at the forefront of 18th century Irish architecture?
A beat. She blinks and I can't help the smirk on my face, which is wiped off when she opens her mouth.
Edward Lovett Pearce, who established the Palladian style through his work with Castletown House and the Irish Houses of Parliament.
Yeah, don't try and have, like, a history debate with a history teacher.
This bridge was destroyed in this year to delay French troops while under the regency of Mary of Guise.
This is not what I was expecting. Let's be honest, how many people know these history facts? Aside from me, anyway.
Going right to the obscure ones, aren't you? Easy enough. Tullybody Old Bridge in Clackmannanshire, Scotland, on the January of 1560, if we want to be specific.
Suddenly it's a game where we throw these history questions and facts at each other back and forth in hushed tones unless we want to be thrown out of the library. After a while, it goes from some strange competition into this strange but friendly banter, if it could be called that. But as fun as it is, the exchange soon slows down until we're grinning about how odd this whole scene is.
Marianne McCulloch, my desire for potatoes doesn't quite match what the stereotypes suggest.
Potato!
Rebecca Gales, the Scots' supposed hatred for the English wasn't enough to stop me from teaching their little spawns.
By then, we'd forgotten about our little tug of war, though she still holds the book in her hands. I had let go of it without realising when she answered my first question.
History teacher, then?
Got it in one.
No wonder you gave me a run for my money. Now, if we're talking about architecture, I'd blow you out of the water. You're from where? Luxbourne Uni?
No, St. Goretti.
Oh no, just St. Goretti's.
Goretti's? Ah yes, St. Goretti. You'd think a school would choose a more appropriate saint to name themselves after, especially when they have very, very young
And
students.
I'm guessing you're an architect, if you're so confident about the subject.
Interior designer, Miss Gales.
Please, just call me Rebecca. You aren't one of my students, are you?
Maybe.
Marianne, then.
Could have said that I was an architect, but there's no point in explaining why I wasn't one anymore.
So, I've never seen you before. I'd like to think I've met every history aficionado in town.
I blame the rock I've been hiding under, of course. That, and I'm usually only here on the weekdays if time allows. Work often has me meeting clients on the weekends.
That must be interesting work.
It allows for some creative freedom, sure. But it's like working with children sometimes. Though you probably have it harder working with actual children. The hardest part is convincing them that your idea is their idea.
That sounds exciting.
It is!
It is!
But isn't that true for any workplace, though? We just cross our fingers and hope there aren't any man-children in charge of important things.
It's just the way the Irish accent is. Interior designer. Basically.
Any big projects right now? I can't imagine that interior designing is a frequent thing.
I'm working on the Ermengarde mansion. Lucky me. That mansion. Intach. Wonderful. Breathtaking. I can't wait to start in it.
What does Eontach mean? Eontach. Meaning of blah 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 in English. Oh, wonderful. Or excellent.
Now that is beautiful architecture.
A pause. It looks like she wants to say something at the mention of the house. I'm not surprised, that place is certainly popular with the locals, especially with the urban legends attached to it. In the next second, though, she seems to think better of it and drops what she's about to say.
So, do you have a portfolio or anything I can take a look at? I'd love to see your designs. Maybe you have some on a tablet? I've met some designers before, and they're always going crazy over these virtual room apps or another.
A tablet? Please. Callicrates didn't need those silly iTabs when he built the Parthenon. I certainly don't need one to design a house.
Computer back at my place is all I have. Why should I buy such an expensive gadget that is just going to get outdated within a year, when what I have is just as functional? Traditional ways has a far more personal touch in my opinion, not to mention those smartphones are awful tools of procrastination. Can't even count on one hand the number of people I see going outside only to have their eyes glued to the things. And fuck touchscreens. The evil things that make typing what should have been a simple task
I do
harder.
have an online portfolio if you'd like. I can...
Speaking, or thinking of the devil seems to have summoned it, because before I can even carry on, Rebecca's attention wanes as she pulls out her mobile. For what I can only assume is a call, she gives me an apologetic look before she standing up. She stands up and excusing herself. Off farther into the aisle she goes for some privacy. I do my best not to give it to her as well. I do my best to give it to her as well, trying to tune her
Well,
out.
is something wrong? Lunch at the coffee house? Sure, I can make it. I'm not too far, I can be there in 10.
But with how quiet the surrounding is, she can't blame me for overhearing snippets of her conversation. When she returns with a sheepish look on her face, I know that our friendly chat has to be cut short.
Sorry, I have to go and meet with some friends.
I still don't have anything like a tablet. I mean, I've got my phone, but that's like a very essential thing.
It's fine. Totally fine. No need to even apologize.
And let's be fair, a PC with essentially 3 screens is more than enough of anything I need.
About the book.
Her embarrassment increases twofold when she realises she's still holding on to the history of Luxbourne architecture. I don't even give her time to think about it as I put my hand and shake my head. Fishing out a pen and paper from a bag along with one of my business cards, I hand them over to her.
I'm busy with work, so I might not even be able to take a peek at it anytime soon. You can go ahead and have it, but you'll have to ring me up when you're returning it just so I can snag it right away. Deal?
She makes quick work, penning her number down and handing it back to me with a grin.
Deal. Just message me during school hours, of course. You have a good day then.
You too.
With Rebecca gone, I'm left alone standing in the history section. Although my original plans were simply to sit down and read a good book, a little pop quiz, if you could call it that, made the time pass by without any of us even realising it. It was fun, and I do believe I've made a new friend. Good job, Marianne. Even with the talk of lunch, however, I don't feel like grabbing a bite to eat. Oh, sorry, we're Marianne. I don't feel like grabbing a bite to eat. There are still other books to be read here, and I'm hoping to find something that'll help me while I work with the rights. Something like How to Deal with Arseholes Professionally 101, just in case. I've dealt with a lot of uppity, snooty, and rich clients before, but it's still better to be safe than sorry. Because Luke Wright just takes the fucking cake. And he probably manages to eat it too. Seems the world is conspiring to keep me from my me time as my mobile vibrates in my pockets the moment I find something from the shelves of the classical literature section.
Marianne McCulloch, Charlie Rose Design speaking.
I need to be able to speak.
Rose Cooper here, Miss McCullough. I hope I didn't catch you at a bad time or anything, but I just wanted to check in and tell you that we've got the clear to hand over the documents.
Oh, Rose is still alive at the minute.
Madam Wright told us that we should forward the floor plans to you.
Already? How did they go through the process so fast? Surely there is so much red tape even to acquire the forms in transferring of the rights. No matter how rich the rights are, it shan't be this quick, right?
So, if I can just have your email, I'll be sending them your way.
I'd actually like a physical copy of the floor plans.
Oh, I suppose that's fine. I'm not at the office right now, but I can inform Miss Santos of your request.
I'll
Okay.
make sure to drop by the office after lunch if that's fine.
Oh,
Not a problem. Right. Well, cheers.
Right. Cheers.
I don't know. I just don't. Was there some sort of deep miscommunication when we last met? These things take time, and it's been, what, a day? Less than that even? There isn't even a point in trying to make sense of these people who seem to be larger than life. As it looks like I'm on the clock starting today, I might as well eat. Grabbing some fish and chips from one of the street food stalls, I find a table to spend time with a copy of Marquis de Sade's The Crime of Love. Since Rebecca left with the book I wanted. I've read this one before along with the rest of his works. This would be the 18th time, in fact. 18 times. Committed. But it's always nice to read through it again when I don't have time to enjoy something new. Besides, when you're dealing with people so filthy rich that they just end up plain filthy, you need the good old Marquis sound advice.
Sans aucune sorte de conséquence.
Ah, thank you for translating. The wound being without any consequence. Of course, it's folly to think that things have no consequence when everything actually does. Briar Realty Corporation's Luxbourne branch isn't too far from the city centre, just a few blocks away, so I can easily walk there. Eat and walk there. I'd rather use this time to rest before I go into a flurry of activity. No doubt there'll be so much to do once we get our hands on the mansion.
Still a lot better than working on another condo, at least.
Surely, no matter how much BRC and the old owners put into the restoration and preservation of the place, any big repairs would be superficial at most. I'm quite certain that in the haste to sell the property, they did a rush job. It isn't an infrequent thing to do, despite how it is frowned upon. There'll be a lot of hidden issues that I need to weed out, and I have to make sure I find every single one of them, especially the more serious damages. Structural integrity is definitely top on the list. Top of the list of things we will have to consider. The building might look sturdy, but it is centuries old. That alone will likely pose a few problems here and there, put limitations on what we can do. Besides, despite how much I detest these rich snobs, they can pay rather handsomely, so as long as I do an excellent job and do more than necessary, those two things always make sure the referrals keep coming. I don't even have to hunt down projects for myself. When I do go up to BRC's office, I can't help but stop and stare at the entire building. With the lunch hour closing, employees should have been back already, if they still aren't filtering through the doors. I get that it's a Saturday and that most people probably feel tired and lazy to be working on a weekend, but they're still on the clock and not bumming about wasting company time on extended lunch breaks and cigarette sessions. The office is spacious, as it is with these big corporations, each person given their little space of what usually is a 2x2 meter cubicle. That just sounds like hell as a job. There's a lot more empty chairs than there are actual people working at their desks. It reminds me far too much of my last days working at Porizkova projects. Porizkova. During the massive layoffs due to the Irish economic crisis. But it isn't just that though. Ooh. Everything is quiet as a grave. It is as if these people are merely ghosts. Speaking of ghosts, Santos comes through the door looking like as if she's just seen one. She looks at me wide-eyed like a deer caught in the headlights, ready to bolt at any moment. I'd ask out of concern, but I feel it's not my position to do so. Well, if it's something personal, I'd simply be overstepping my boundaries. Really, it's none of my business.
I presume that Miss Cooper told you why I'm here, Miss Santos?
Huh? Oh, yeah. Sorry, I just got back from lunch, you know? But it won't take too long. Don't worry.
Of course it won't. This whole project has established itself to be a matter done in haste. I do hope it doesn't mean that people are being careless in their duties.
She flinches and looks like she doesn't quite know how to respond to that. Thankfully, instead of opening her mouth, she leads the way towards her station and goes to fetch the floor plans. It won't take too long, as she said, but it does take a bit time spent to compose herself, most likely.
No, we usually just email these things.
I prefer the real thing.
Not that you would know. You probably have your nose stuck in front of a smartphone when you're not working, and even when you should be working, playing those mindless, addictive games. Hey.
I know what you mean. Digital painting is nice, but nothing beats the smell of real paint. Not that I go and smell paint like a crazy person, but, you know, the real thing is different.
Wait, what?
Yes, nothing is quite like the real thing.
Checking out the floor plans to see that I have a lot going for me. Look at all this fucking room. My house alone is probably the size of that bit. Let's think this through. It doesn't have any dimensions, but that looks huge. The foyer is probably the same size as my front room. Half of that is probably my back room. Then kitchen going off. They've got all this. Checking out the floor plans to see that I'll have a lot going for me. Now I know how Ray felt when he found the Central Park West building floor plans from that one movie. This is why I became an architect in the first place. Jacobean style at its finest. It's a thing of beauty. Looking at these gorgeous rooms, the delicate harmony between empty spaces. And speaking of empty spaces, there's something rather odd about these ones.
I feel a bit silly saying it out loud because I've never lived in a big house, let alone a mansion. But during the tour, I had the distinct impression that the rooms were bigger. Maybe the scale is wrong? It's not much of a problem. And it is an old house.
There had been little details here and there that I would like to address during the open house too. But it was all forgotten in the wake of Miss Santos' incident and the troubles with ownership. The wine cellar is going to be a problem. That's a good point. Where's the wine cellar? Kitchen. So hall, basement, hall, quarters, kitchen, wine cellar, hatch. So they've got the two attics. First floor, ground floor, but they don't have the wine cellar. There might have been things that were swept under the rug, pushed into the dark corner of the rooms and hidden away in barrels. Water damage could have been covered up. There had been floods due to heavy rains in West England just last year, after all, and if there's any sort of damage to the house's foundations, that's going to be a lot of work. I was not able to look in the attic as well. For all I know, a whole family of vermin could have made their nests in there. No, there was a fucking ghoul. Working with pest control is always the worst. The sheer size of this place is staggering, even if I did just say it was a lot smaller than I thought. I might just be biting off more than I can chew, but who doesn't like a good challenge? First things first, I'll have to...
So, do you want a coffee? The one from the staff room is pretty decent.
There's really no need. I'm sure you have rules against it.
Rules against bringing someone coffee? That's ridiculous. And even if there were regulations against it, nobody's really here to tell Sir John. I've already brought 2 mugs, and I'm not going to drink them on my own. Come on.
I have to stamp down my annoyance at being distracted. Seeing the girl, the young woman though, it looks like she has a lot on her mind. Babbling is her way of dealing with stray thoughts. I'm not really the one she should be babbling to. How should I respond? Save. You have something to say? I give her time to speak up. I've maxed out their relationship. Yes. But when she just stares, I clear my throat.
Yes? You have something to say?
An embarrassment creeps up on her face. I snatch one of the coffees from her hand and take a sip. Too hot.
Just thinking and speaking off the record, it must be fun what you do. You go to people's houses and you make them, well, pretty. You're sharing your art with them.
It's a little bit more complex than that. But if you put it that way, it is fun. I wouldn't have done it for 7 years if it wasn't a little bit fun, I guess.
These big clients always have paintings in their homes. Do you have a supplier for art pieces?
I didn't expect to hear such questions from her, seeing how well she handled herself yesterday. I didn't doubt then why she was assigned to an important sale like the Ermengarde mansion despite the little accident she had. Now she just looks too young, too nervous and unsure of herself, although her enthusiasm must make up for that in spades. In fact, I wouldn't have believed it if she hadn't introduced herself the way she is at the moment. Why, watching her now, she actually looks like she should still be in college. Acts a bit like it too, when I think about it. I thought she must have been a teen. She was a teen slumming it out in the mansion when I first saw her there, lying on the ground. Surprise, surprise, she turned out to be one of the estate agents handling the property.
Clients usually support artists of their own choice. If they don't, I'm always happy to refer those that I know.
That's cool.
They're very picky. I don't think a hobbyist will have an easy time getting their work sold.
Hey,
bit harsh.
I'll have you know I was a student of the fine arts.
And yet here you are, selling property. Maybe you weren't a very fine student of the arts.
Ooh, cold. Maybe I took it that a bit too far. She bites her cheek and it looks like she's barely noticed. And it looks like she's barely holding herself
I had
back.
a choice.
She mutters it under her breath. I can barely even hear that. But the hurt is there. It makes me wonder what brought it on. Although it is understandable if a reason's what I think it is, very few people make it big in the art world. I can see why she'd be upset about it with that enthusiasm. I didn't have a choice when I left Ireland. It was that or years of unemployment. The recession and the toll it took on the construction industry was out of anyone's control. I don't know what choice she wasn't able to make, whether it was about her being at art school or something else. But the world isn't a fair place, and the sooner she accepts it, the better. Still, with that forlorn look on her face, I can't help but sigh. The girl reminds me far too much of myself when I was younger.
If you're thinking of commissioning your paintings, I'll have to see your work first.
Oh, it's not... I didn't mean it like that. I don't have any paintings.
Really? You sounded a lot like you still did art or want to. Now I'm starting to worry that you might just like the smell of paint.
I'm not a paint huffer, sheesh. I just mean I don't make much anymore. I don't really have the time for it. The tools and materials aren't exactly cheap either.
Everything has a price. It sounds like you're making excuses for something you're presumably passionate about.
Yeah, but what you don't know, Marianne, is the fact that she's sending near enough all the money that she's making as a real estate agent back to her parents because her dad is sick.
If you really want to practice art, a little out of your wallet isn't much.
It's not that simple.
It's not. Life's simple. People just like to make it complex. Speaking off the record,
I have some advice for you, kid. Either go for what you want, or stop thinking about it when you have something else. That is unless you enjoy making yourself miserable. Then by all means.
You know, if you wanted to look at the floor plans without me bothering you, you could have just said so.
Would you have left me alone?
We'll never know now, will we?
Reindeer settles in the room afterwards. It doesn't help that she doesn't immediately leave, as she said, lingering awkwardly by the door with that downcast expression. Clearly there's more she means to say, perhaps even to defend herself and her choices in life. Or is she expecting me to dish out more of that